My name is Evelyn Harper, and for 22 years I was married to Daniel Harper. From the outside, our life looked perfect. We lived in a comfortable house in Ohio, raised 2 sons, attended family gatherings, and smiled for holiday photos. People saw stability. What they didn't see was how invisible I had become. Daniel wasn't cruel in a way people easily recognized. He never shouted. He never threw things. Instead, he mastered something quieter: dismissal. Every idea I had was treated like a harmless joke. When I suggested taking a family trip, he'd smile and change the subject. When I signed up for a pottery class, he told relatives I was experimenting with hobbies again. Everyone laughed, including him. For years, I convinced myself it didn't matter. Then there was the lottery ticket. 11 years earlier, while buying groceries at a convenience store, I purchased a $5 Powerball ticket on impulse. I didn't win, but I liked the feeling it gave me. Not greed, but hope. So the next Wednesday, I bought another and another. Eventually, it became a ritual. Every Wednesday morning, I stopped at the same store and bought the same ticket using the same numbers: 7, 14, 22, 31, 44, and Powerball 9. The numbers weren't random. They were pieces of my life. My birthday, my mother's birthday, the year I graduated, the year I got married, the year my younger son was born. Daniel discovered my habit after a few months. "Still wasting money on that?" he asked one night. "It's $5. It's $5 every week." I shrugged. He laughed. For the next decade, he never missed an opportunity to mock it. At family dinners, at holidays, in front of friends. "One chance in hundreds of millions," he'd say. I always smiled and let it pass. But every Wednesday, I still bought my ticket. Then came a gray March morning that changed everything. I completed my usual errands and returned home with groceries. While unpacking them, I checked the winning numbers on my phone. The first number matched, then the second, then the third. My heart began pounding. 4th, 5th, 6th, Powerball. Every number matched. I checked again and again. The jackpot displayed at the top of the screen read $73 million. For several seconds, I couldn't move. My hands trembled so badly I nearly dropped my phone. Finally, I called the lottery commission. A representative answered. I read him the serial number from memory and explained that I believed I held the winning ticket. There was a pause, typing, more silence. Then his voice changed. "Ma'am, there's a problem." The blood drained from my face. "What problem?" "The claim for that ticket has already been submitted this morning." I stared at the kitchen wall. "What?" "The winning ticket was presented approximately 2 hours ago." My grip tightened on the counter. "By who?" "I'm not authorized to disclose that information." The call ended with instructions to visit the claims office immediately. I stood frozen in the kitchen. Then I rushed toward my handbag. The ticket was always stored in a small zippered pouch inside. Always. I opened it, empty. I searched every pocket. Nothing. The ticket was gone. And suddenly, a terrible thought entered my mind. That morning, while I had been shopping, Daniel had been home alone. For the first time in our marriage, I wondered if my husband had stolen from me. I sat at the kitchen table for several minutes, trying to make sense of what had happened. The winning ticket was gone. Someone had already claimed it, and the only person who could have accessed my bag that morning was Daniel. Fear hit me first, then anger, then something unexpected, clarity. If Daniel had taken the ticket, I couldn't afford to waste time. I immediately called my older sister, Laura Bennett, the one person I trusted completely. "Listen carefully," I said when she answered. "Don't interrupt until I'm finished." I told her everything: the winning numbers, the missing ticket, the lottery office, the mysterious claim, the possibility that my husband had stolen $73 million from me. When I finished, there was silence. Then, Laura spoke. "You need a lawyer. Today." She gave me the name of Rebecca Lawson, an attorney who specialized in complex financial disputes. Within 2 hours, I was sitting in Rebecca's office downtown. She listened carefully as I explained the situation. Unlike everyone else in my life, she didn't laugh. She didn't tell me I was overreacting. She simply took notes. When I finished, she folded her hands. "The first question is ownership," she said. "I bought the ticket. Can you prove it?" I hesitated. "I've been buying the same ticket every Wednesday for years." "Good. Witnesses?" "The cashier knows me." "Excellent." Rebecca leaned forward. "If your husband filed a claim pretending to be the sole owner, that's a serious problem for him, but we need evidence immediately." Within minutes, she began making calls. The convenience store had security cameras. Those recordings could prove I purchased the ticket. But footage wasn't kept forever. If we waited too long, it might be erased. Rebecca requested that the store preserve all surveillance from that morning. Then she instructed me to gather every financial record I could find. Bank statements, receipts, anything showing my weekly routine. For the first time since discovering the theft, I felt a small spark of hope. Maybe I wasn't powerless after all. That evening, I returned home. Daniel was sitting at the dinner table reading emails on his laptop. He looked completely relaxed, completely normal, as if nothing had happened, as if he hadn't possibly stolen a lottery ticket worth $73 million. "How was your day?" he asked casually. I forced a smile. "Fine." He nodded and returned to his screen. Not one mention of the lottery, not one question, not one hint. The performance was almost impressive. I said nothing. Rebecca had warned me. Don't let him know you know. For now, silence was my strongest weapon. 2 days later, Rebecca called. "We got the footage." I gripped the phone. "And?" "It clearly shows you buying the ticket." Relief washed through me, but she wasn't finished. "We requested additional recordings from previous Wednesdays." "Why?" "Because patterns matter." The store had provided weeks of footage. Week after week, the cameras showed the same thing. Me entering the store, me purchasing a ticket, me placing it inside the same brown handbag. The cashier, Sophia Martinez, had also signed a statement confirming she had served me regularly for years. My case was getting stronger. Then, Rebecca delivered another piece of news. "I've officially challenged the existing claim." My pulse quickened. What happens now? Now, she said, your husband finds out we're fighting back. 3 days later, Daniel came home much earlier than usual. I heard the front door slam. Heavy footsteps crossed the house. Then he appeared in the bedroom doorway. For the first time in 22 years, I saw genuine panic in his eyes, and I knew the war had begun. Daniel stood in the bedroom doorway with an expression I had never seen before. Not anger, not confidence, fear. You hired a lawyer, he said. I looked up from the chair beside the window. Yes. His jaw tightened. You challenged my claim. There it was. Not our claim. Not the misunderstanding. My claim. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he stepped into the room. Evelyn, we've been married for 22 years. Everything we own belongs to both of us. You took the ticket. I found the ticket. The correction came too quickly, too smoothly, as if he had rehearsed it. I met his eyes. You found it where? A flicker crossed his face. The house. That's very specific. Daniel looked away. This doesn't have to become a legal battle. It already is. His expression hardened. You could walk away with half. I don't want half. What do you want? The truth. For several seconds, he stared at me. Then he left without another word. Minutes later, I heard him on the phone. I didn't need to guess who he was calling. His sister, Vanessa Harper, a successful attorney who had disliked me almost from the moment I married her brother. The next afternoon, she arrived at the house. Vanessa sat across from me in the living room, her briefcase neatly placed beside her chair. Her smile was polite, professional, artificial. Evelyn, she began, I'm hoping we can resolve this sensibly. I said nothing. The ticket was purchased during a marriage. Marital property law is very clear. Then, why did Daniel file as sole owner? Her smile weakened. People make mistakes. A $73 million mistake? Vanessa ignored the question. Court cases are expensive. They take time. They're stressful. So is being robbed. The room became very quiet. For the first time, irritation appeared in her eyes. You need to think carefully about what you're risking. Is that a warning? It's advice. I smiled. No, it's a warning. Vanessa stood. The conversation was over. As she left, she paused near the door. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I watched her walk away. What surprised me wasn't her behavior. It was my own reaction. For years, people like Daniel and Vanessa had intimidated me. Not anymore. The following week brought a major breakthrough. Rebecca called me early on Monday morning. We have something important. What happened? We subpoenaed Daniel's phone records. I sat upright. And? The timeline doesn't work. My heart started racing. Rebecca explained. Daniel had claimed he discovered the ticket after finding it in the house. But his cell phone data showed something entirely different. His location placed him near the lottery office before the time he claimed to have found the ticket. The story was impossible, physically impossible. The evidence suggested he already possessed the ticket before I returned home from shopping. Exactly what I had suspected from the beginning. For the first time, Daniel's version of events wasn't merely questionable. It was collapsing. 2 days later, another surprise arrived. A handwritten note. It was waiting on the kitchen table when I came downstairs. I recognized Daniel's handwriting immediately. The message was short. I'm willing to settle. Below it was a number. 60%. 60% of $73 million. More money than most people could spend in several lifetimes. A year earlier, I might have accepted. A month earlier, I might have been tempted. Now I saw it for what it was. Not generosity. Desperation. I picked up the note and called Rebecca. After reading it aloud, I heard her laugh softly. That's good news. Why? Because innocent people don't usually offer $44 million to make a problem disappear. I looked down at the note. For the first time since all of this began, I realized something important. Daniel wasn't trying to win anymore. He was trying not to lose. And those are very different things. The hearing took place 6 weeks later. It wasn't a grand courtroom like the ones shown on television. It was a conference room inside a government building with a long table and a panel of officials reviewing the competing claims. Rebecca sat beside me. Across the table sat Daniel, accompanied by an attorney hired through Vanessa's firm. For the first hour, their argument focused on marital property. The ticket had been purchased during the marriage. The money used to buy it came from a shared household account. Therefore, Daniel was entitled to ownership. It sounded convincing. Until Rebecca began presenting evidence. First came the surveillance footage. Not just 1 week, 11 consecutive Wednesdays. The videos showed the same routine over and over. Me entering the convenience store, me purchasing the ticket, me placing it inside my handbag. Then came Sophia's signed statement confirming she had watched me buy lottery tickets for years. Next came the transaction records, and finally, the phone location evidence. The room grew noticeably quieter. Daniel's attorney attempted to explain the discrepancy. The explanation made little sense. One of the commissioners interrupted. Are you saying your client found the ticket after Mrs. Harper returned home? Yes. The commissioner adjusted her glasses. Because the location records place your client near the claims office before that time. Silence. For the first time all morning, Daniel looked nervous. Then, something unexpected happened. He spoke without consulting his attorney, without permission, without preparation. She would have wasted it, he blurted out. Everyone turned toward him. His face was red. His composure was gone. For years, she never understood money. She would have made stupid decisions. The room fell completely silent. His attorney looked horrified. Rebecca didn't move. She didn't need to. Daniel had just revealed exactly what this had always been about. Not the law, not ownership, control. For 22 years, he had viewed me as someone incapable of managing her own life. And now he had accidentally admitted it in front of everyone. A week later, the commission issued its decision. I was alone in my apartment when the certified envelope arrived. My hands shook as I opened it. The ruling was clear. The commission determined that the ticket belonged solely to Evelyn Harper. The evidence established an independent and consistent pattern of purchase. The evidence established possession. The evidence disproved Daniel's timeline. His claim was denied. Mine was approved. I read the decision twice, then a third time. Not because I didn't understand it, because after months of fighting, I finally could. The lottery winnings were mine, all of them. After taxes, I received approximately $37 million. The divorce followed shortly afterward. Daniel received his lawful share of our marital assets, but not a single dollar of the lottery prize. Within a year, my life looked entirely different. I bought a modest home near my sister. I hired financial professionals. I created a nonprofit organization that helped women rebuild their financial independence after divorce or hardship. For the first time in decades, I made decisions without asking permission. One Wednesday afternoon, nearly a year later, I returned to the convenience store. The lottery display still hung behind the counter. The memories were still there. The hope was still there. But I didn't buy a ticket. I didn't need one. Because the greatest thing I gained wasn't the money. It was discovering that I was stronger than the people who spent years convincing me otherwise. And looking back, that's what changed my life, not the $73 million. The moment I stopped believing I was small.